today I'm taking out the trash and it's trash day, so it's extra cold out. And right before we hopped on, my wife looked at me and she goes, "Are you really going for a run?" Because I was putting a sweatshirt and sweatpants on. I said, "No, why would I be going for a run? It's 12 degrees outside." No. And maybe in spite of her, after I get off this, maybe I'll just go do it, but that's beside the point. Um,
The bigger question is, why are you got a vehicle? Why are you running?
He gets one high in the air. Left field. This one's got a chance. And let's go on a cowhide. Joyride. Sound the horn. The Railcats clear the yard.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome to the halfway point of the offseason. He's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich. More than likely, I'm the first half of the offseason, and Chuck's the second half of the offseason, the more exciting portion. So we'll split that down the middle. That's how this podcast works. No big RailCats news. I know it's just been a couple days since the last podcast, but I'm trying to get things back into a schedule. Mostly, it's my fault. So Chuck, the how was your weekend?
Um, I don't know. I don't remember how my weekend went.
That's fair.
I
We're
mean, all my days run together. There's no baseball, so it's boring. I think there were some football games on. I think that's still a thing.
Yeah, I
Boring.
get the NFL going, but I'm like, okay, I watched I think a little bit of the Vikings Rams game, and then the Rams run away with it. I'm like, I'm not watching this anymore, and I have to wait till Monday for the national championship game to watch. Hopefully Notre Dame win, but I don't really have high hopes on that one. I think Ohio State's a
I
bit of
didn't have
a
hopes for them to beat Penn State, and they did. So, I mean, it's we'll see what happens.
yeah, it'll be interesting.
But that being
Um,
said, hey, we got baseball. We do have a former RailCat that now has a managerial position within the Frontier League.
some may say maybe the best rail cap in history, franchise history. Maybe that's up debate. Especially, well, I mean, games played and you're leading in games played, and you have a cone or a little coin, and
You have a you've done something in your life if you have a coin.
most hits. That would be Jay Pecci, who played from the Railcats from 2005 to 2010. He won the 2008 All-Star MVP, led with career hits 548 and games played at 513. He is the first manager for the little brother, I guess you could say, of the Railcats, the Mississippi Mud Monsters, who's been coaching around the New York Mets organization. So, I mean, good for them. Uh, I guess
A
that ties
solid,
into this podcast somehow.
I mean, really, you think about it. This is a guy that spent quite a few years I mean, 6 seasons in affiliate ball. I mean, not in affiliate ball, in American Association or independent league ball, we'll
Hmm.
say, right? So he kind of gets the gist of it. Goes on to get some semi or some pro experience in the minors with coaching, and then here you go. So, yeah, why not, right? Good to see um, a new manager,
Yeah,
not some retread from another team. Hey, you didn't do good here, so hire you somewhere else. Um, so it'll be interesting. I'll also be interesting to see if this is a solid learning experience for Joe, you know,
yeah,
because this is Joe getting his feet wet with a new manager on a new team. Get to see successes, and every season has successes and failures. So get to see what a decision like this is, successful wise and failure wise, and learn and build up, right?
yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, well-known. I mean, basically one at least one Northern League championship with the Railcats. So a known winner. I mean, he's been all around. I just kind of looking at some of his other stuff. I mean, he was a player coach. Yeah, player coach in Germany. I think he played a little bit in Italy. He just kind of all over the place with coaching. So he has a lot of experience. I mean, that's probably a good pickup. It's just one of those wishes that you would have maybe thought of. after Greg Taggart left, that would have been something interesting. But again, uh, the when Greg Taggart left, there was a whole different regime coming in, an old regime leaving and a new one coming in. So you can't really tag anything. That was also in the weeds on that one. So yeah.
I think that Jay would be a great person to come on the podcast and talk about his Real Kids days.
Yeah, yeah, he, if you know, now I don't know how much time he's actually going to have because, when last year when I set up with Lamar Rogers to come on the show, I mean, it was one of those like he gave me a small window and it was in the middle of doing the interview. He was communicating with scouts and others. So like obviously they're very busy people.
Right.
So and to come on this lonely podcast could be a bit of a nuisance sometimes, maybe one would say.
No, no. This is people don't realize they've made it until they've made it on this podcast.
Yes, I don't think
And
they
I
do
know
per
Joe
se.
listens. Joe, congratulations on this. You had sent me an email saying I was going to be delighted with your manager, and hey, good job on this one. But let's see if we can get him on the podcast, Joe.
Yeah, that might
You
work. And
know?
then, we could do a little speculating here because also on that the second part of that podcast, or not that podcast, the email
Email.
was something about coming to the Steelyard. So maybe we can speculate what that might be, and if we get it right, maybe we get a cookie or something.
You know what? I want to go ahead and keep talking, and I'm gonna look for that email specifically
Okay, you do
so
that.
that I can make sure that it's worded correctly. Actually, I found it right
Oh,
here.
oh, like it's super fast.
He says, think you will like what is coming next for the Steel Yard.
Mm.
And I think you'll like our on-field manager for Mississippi. So, uh, what's coming next for the Steel Yard? Wow. That's kind of vague, right? But
Very
I
vague.
think
Very.
when I read that, my response was, Joe, don't go teasing me. Uh,
I think what they should do is I get the home plate bar, behind home plate the bar, great, great centralized place for a bar. But I think instead of a bar, you either do a huge chocolate fountain or like a cheese fountain kind of deal, and that's I think that should go there. I think that should be the new. I think that would attract more people to going behind there.
I'll tell you what, the health violation. They
Well, we don't have to worry about it. We're not the
and the wind blowing back there every once in a while, chocolate splattering all
chocolate flat.
over. You never really thought this out very well. Um, I was thinking that that would be a great place for the mariachi band to
Oh,
play
okay, yeah.
on mariachi nights
There
or
we go.
right? That would be a great thing to have at the Steelyard. We can get some mariachi bands going.
Yeah.
Uh, hey, we talked about this before, and maybe Joe was listening. We talked about they have uh Gold Eyes, they have a DJ. Why do not we not have a DJ back
Huh?
there spinning up some hits during the game? I mean, come on, that would be great. Can you imagine how much fun that would
Yeah. Or maybe this is really gonna come out of left field. Maybe we might have a special another appearance of a
be? Rascal,
mascot that's been wild, that's been running wild for a while,
Rascal,
Rascal. Yeah, I would.
right? I
You,
I know,
well, the reason I say that is because if you think about it, most every other American Association team, I know Kent County does, I know Chicago does, Gold Eyes do. I'm pretty
right?
sure Kansas City does. They have two mascots.
I think that having a rascal there would be, here's the thing. We go back to what we talked about before about the experience, right? And everybody loves to get their picture taken with Rusty, get him to sign something for them. The kids love the mascot, right? And go back to the successful years when we had Rascal there
Hmm.
too. And why not? Why not take advantage of that and kind of up the ante a little bit on the entertainment value when it comes to that? I think that would be awesome. I would be excited for that.
You put Rascal and Rusty in those big balls, the blow up
Yeah,
balls, and you just have them run into each other. I don't know how
yeah,
much of that safety hazard
you
that might
know,
be because you can't really see
or
much out of those. But
well, and you can look at what Chicago does. Chicago has squeeze,
hmm
right? And yeah, ketchup and squeeze. So squeeze is the fun,
hmm
easy going mustard bottle, right? And ketchup is this pervert that runs around pledge, right? So and shaking his butt and all this craziness and that. So, which Rusty's like this the over nice, cuddly,
hmm
older cat. And Rascal is going to be the Rascal. You got to have the Rascal that's going around stealing people's stuff or
Oh,
whatever.
that would be I mean, just how funny it would be just like messing with like the umpires or like messing with the
Right.
bat, the bat boy or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. Just being bringing the entertainment value up. I can I could see that. Just doing something mischievous to kind of keep everyone's attention. You could have a half inning of Rascal running around with something and people trying to, kids chasing him across the field now instead of kids
Right.
just running across the field. Maybe
You know,
he
you have to think of this. Remember, was it 2 years ago where one of the managers grabbed like second base and gave it to a fan, right? Signed it and all that stuff. And the game was like, what the heck's going on? Uh, they were kind of like it put a pause on everything.
Mhm.
Well, why doesn't Rascal go out on the field and steal one of the opposing player's glove and just run away with it, right? Every game, I want him to find a way to steal somebody's glove and run away with it and like toss it into the bullpen or something, right before an inning, and then have the player be like, "What the heck's going on? I ain't got my glove now. What am I going to do?" You
See,
know?
now this is where I could see it being, that, or you could maybe potentially have like a fan or a front office employee dress up like an opposing player and kind of stage it a little bit. That way you're not distracting
No,
the
no. We distract
players.
the player. I've
I
seen it before. You distract the player. It's called home field advantage for a
okay. All
reason,
right, that's fine.
right? I mean, I can't remember where I saw it at, but I've seen a mascot steal somebody's glove before and go toss it up in the stands. So, I mean, that's hey, why not, right?
or telling kids to tell, opposing players names that are completely wrong to screaming
Right,
in the dugout.
exactly.
That could be one of those. So,
I've
yeah,
heard of people.
but being honest, I mean, realistically, outside of maybe bringing back a second mascot and upgrades to the stadium. I mean, those are really your two options to kind
Right.
of go
And
with.
I kind of left the obvious, which would be the new scoreboard. Getting a scoreboard for the place. That's kind of the obvious upgrade that needs to happen. So I'm kind of playing that one down for a minute because I don't want to get too excited. But throw out some things because the Railcats have no control over that scoreboard. That's all the city of Gary.
It's all the city. I
So
mean, realistically, me speaking, I mean, speaking, especially on like just listening to fans talking about going there. I think the biggest thing for like the diehard fans is maybe an upgrade in the lights. I think that's probably, I mean, obviously a scoreboard update, but I mean, with the LED lights, I see, at first I wasn't a big fan of like when someone hits a home run or someone scores a touchdown or where the kids, like the lights go in and out, flickering. I
right,
really wasn't a big fan of that. And then I forget when I was watching, it could have been the Dodgers in the All-Star or World Series or something like that. And they hit a home run and it's all flashing. I'm like, you know what? That's pretty cool. I enjoy
well,
that.
it's cool that you can just turn on the lights as
Yeah,
opposed to these incandescent ones that take 10 minutes for them to
when
warm
you
up.
have an afternoon game and you drive into the Steelyard, you can see, or you can already see the lights on when as soon as you turn off at 65 and going on,
Right.
20. So it's just like it would just be nice just to be able to flip those lights on and do other things with it, just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But I think once again, that's a City of Gary thing. So I'm throwing out ideas that uh the RailCats actually have control over. Mariachi band,
Okay.
DJ,
Yeah,
uh,
DJ would be cool.
mascot, right? All of those things are ideas that the RailCats can, put in place without having to worry about somebody else's uh say so. Um and hey, if for some reason, and I have good authority of saying this, I think that I can speak on behalf of the RailCats Talk podcast. Uh, if for some reason they can't get a rascal, uh, from what I've seen on the internet, you've agreed to wear a princess outfit for
I
the next
I
season.
I guess
So,
I have.
so that's been the talk from what I've heard is that that's going to be the thing. You're going to dress up like a
I'm
princess
gonna
every.
have to show up to that dang thing dressed like a princess, ain't I? Ryan, why?
Natasha watched that clip and she just started laughing. It's like, you guys. I said, well,
Hey, anything to, I guess draw the people in,
right,
give them it's like the movie trailer where it just shows you the really good parts
right.
and
And
it's
you're like,
like
oh,
towards
I've
the
already
end or
seen it.
like in the
Wow.
in the middle and it's just like I listened to this, watched this for what reason? I could have just listened to that 20-second clip and been good with my day. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But what's the fun in
Um,
that?
I did get asked about the documentary thing via some text messages, seeing what our thoughts were on that. So right now, as far as the documentary goes, it's definitely something we're thinking about. We've got to wait and see how some other things play out in our personal lives. But definitely something that needs to be done. And I think that in order to do it correctly, we're going to have to spend probably this next season making connections
Mhm.
and talking about the possibility of doing it. So, this is, I think to me, this is the season where we've got some people that have been with the Railcat since the beginning or close to it. Maybe, hey, talking to them for a few minutes, saying, hey, this is what we're thinking about, and really seeing what they can kind of offer to bring to the table. But we've definitely got people that are interested. So I think that's where we're going to go with it for now, and kind of sit with it at that point.
Yeah, there might be uh, next week, week after, I don't know exactly. Um, but there might be an announcement on my end that may hinder some
Oh,
things. Um,
next week, week after, I'm just going to make the announcement.
no,
Uh, Kyle would like to tell everybody that not only is he going to dress like a princess to every game, but he's also going to get his his nails done. That's the announcement, everybody. He wanted to wait because he wanted to figure out how much this was going to cost.
all
Um,
right, fine. Since we're gonna go round this loop de loop of who. Now the thing is if I'm gonna do this, I'm not just gonna like go to Party City, which is sadly the Party City in Maryville
doesn't
is going.
exist.
Yeah, they're going out of business, so that's terrible. So I don't know where I'm gonna be able to do all this. I was really hoping to go to Party City and try their fitting rooms and go in and Princess and try this in and out. But the question is going to be, who should I go as? Is going to be the question. So maybe we once we get into the season a little bit, find out when Princess and Pirates Night is, and go around and ask people what Kyle should wear or I should wear to Princess and Pirates Night, and we'll go from there. I
Oh,
don't think I'm gonna go all out with like nails and makeup, everything like that. It's not. That's pushing a little too far.
I
I may shave my
thought
legs
that
for
was
it,
the
but
announcement that you were waiting for was to tell everybody that you were going to get your nails done professionally. So that you have a lasting effect of remembrance of that night.
my wife doesn't even get her nails done, so I don't
Well,
think.
she also doesn't dress up like a princess when she
Yeah,
comes.
no. That's fair.
So I think that okay, leading up to the season, maybe right after the start of the season, we put a poll out there asking which one of the Disney princesses do you need to dress up as? Uh, I'm gonna say that it's probably gonna have to be Belle.
Hmm.
You
See,
know,
I thought you were going like pure classic. I was gonna say you're gonna probably say like Cinderella, but
no,
maybe I go as like Tinkerbell.
I don't think they make
You know,
slippers.
the really skimpy
Tinkerbell, there you go.
skimpy
No.
dress.
Oh God, everybody, please. This is our viewership just dropped off a cliff there when you said that.
Don't worry,
All three people have died.
don't worry, the middle-aged single women just jumped up.
No,
So
they did. No, they did. Um, they're in the hospital vomiting right now. You've got Belle. I think would be a good one to go with. Uh, maybe Ariel. You could be yourself a mermaid.
maybe I just
Um,
gotta ask my nieces.
you could.
They
You know
could,
what? That would probably I would give them like 5 votes apiece.
yeah.
Their votes weigh a little bit more. Say, hey, which princess should I dress as? And then bring them to the game.
Yeah, that would be something
But if
interesting.
you but if you do it, you have to go all out. Not just the dress. You've got to
Well,
have the shoes. You've got to have the
well, yeah,
hair.
the shoes, the hair, obviously the wig.
You got to get the wig.
Um, I don't.
This is hey,
What
this
is
is what did you get yourself into? Exactly.
on another note, I know I mentioned last week and it was going to do some homework, and I
Right.
did some homework, but I got an A for effort, but I got like a D on the homework aspect of it just because I had certain things happen, and I had to push it off
Distraction.
for a second. Anyways, so the homework assignment was to see how many players the RailCats had over the past 3 years under Coach Rogers, of people that were in the affiliate ranks, and how many of those people. And I said it because I don't necessarily know who has visas, but I set it to who was born internationally,
Right.
basically. Because if you go on Point Streak, there are some players that were born internationally, but like on like their hometowns, like Florida, like
Right.
their hometowns was like in the United States. So I'm not sure exactly how that. I may have thought maybe that's how it would maybe work. It was like if they had a hometown, like they already had a visa, but the issue is like Jackson Valera was like Florida, but he couldn't go because he had visas. So like I just don't know how that all played out. So in the year of 2022, this was mostly still a little bit of Lamar or Greg Taggart's roster. Um, they ended the year with 30 people that played one game with the RailCats at one point that was an affiliate rank. 2023, 30 again. Last year was 27. This is where the stats get a little bit different. In 2022, the amount of players that had a uh, internationally born tag to them, there was 10. And I really think the only player that was brought in prior to Lamar Rogers was Jesus Mariaga. So that only led it to one. So they jumped up, then in 2023, it was 19, and last year was 17. So I'm just curious to see what this year is going to be like, because right now I think out of like the five people they have two people that have affiliate experience, and one of those players are internationally born and Andres Diaz. I'm just curious to see how this roster is going to set up to like the previous winners, like the Kansas City Monarchs, the Fargo Red Hawks, and King County, to see what those kind of line. So that'll be like for next week. I'll break that down, but I'm just curious to see. I know we talked about the storyline of what would be the bigger storyline in 2025 was the experience or the players or the season itself. My thing is I'm curious up to opening day. what the storyline is going to be on the roster itself. Like where are we going heavily one side or the other? Are we cutting back on the affiliate experience? I don't think so. I don't think that has the more of effect of as international players. I think that might be the dividing line, but that's something that I'm gonna have to look into on that aspect of it.
So here's what kind of I wish we talked about my wish list, right? I wish we had a big name player.
Hmm.
I wish we had a threat, that you were like, oh crap, I don't want to face this guy. Most of the other teams have one of those guys. Uh, I wish we had something like that. So to me, I don't want to sit there. I'll say this. If I'm drilling down and looking at how many visas we have and where the people are from and all of that, I'm not having a successful season.
But I mean that's what we
That's what we
have.
right.
It's
I'm just
not.
I'm hoping that we get a big name. We grab somebody that it's like, wow, this is going to be fun. And I don't know that we've had that, you
Well,
know.
realistically going into this year, I mean, I think Jesus Mariaga was that guy that was the threat necessarily. I think, but he
Yeah.
didn't play. I think
But
he was making a name for himself in the league, and it just didn't work itself out. And, I think you had a couple, even with the Gio Diaz and LG Castillo, uh, were a couple of those players that could have been bigger names in the league, but I think the biggest one coming into it was a Franklin Perez, who was a highly stouted out prospect, who was traded for Justin Verlander. So like that's what I think that was a bigger like that if it worked itself out, that would have been a huge name for everyone. Um, in that aspect of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I wasn't what Franklin Perez. I wasn't too
Well, no, and he was
I
coming
I
off
wasn't
it.
hyped up on it because he's a pitcher and pitchers, you get to see him play once every 5 days if they're starters, which he was. Uh, when looking at him coming in, but I would just like to see that bat threat, and
Yeah.
somebody that you're just like. I'll go back to Cleburne. Cleburne brought in. Oh, I can't even remember what his name was a couple years ago. Uh, that I actually follow him on Twitter. Delano DeShields.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, I've seen this guy play and comes in, hits a home run or two or whatever, and then he was gone like 2 days later. Went back home, but it was
Yeah.
still it was like, hey, here's a guy that you're scared of, and sure enough, they wind up killing us. Um, so I'd like to see that. I think that if our discussion is like you're saying, and that's what we're focused on, because that's all we have right now. But if our discussion is still that going into the season, uh, we're we're gonna struggle.
Yeah, and and I'm curious if that maybe that's why, you look at all the rest of the league, and I mean, you look at the transaction after really after the Christmas season and after New Year's, they started posting all these, obviously Kane County's gonna have to start picking up players because they're getting ready to play in the Baseball Champions League, which was they had their press conference and how what all they're playing and so on and so forth, and the six teams that are a part of it. But it's just like it seems like we got the bulk early on of the players being signed, and like it's just kind of died out. So I don't know if he's maybe waiting last minute necessarily, or seeing who's gonna come through the cracks. But I don't know how this year's gonna play itself out and what type of players that we're gonna get, because right now it seems that we're getting I would personally put it as a hungry type of player.
Right.
that hasn't had a lot of affiliate experience, so they haven't had the high of being drafted and playing affiliate ball and the low of, oh, now I got to play in independent baseball. No, you're getting guys that don't, when you look at their baseball reference, don't have a page or it's just college stats. So like maybe it's a little bit of a hunger, but you're also playing with fire at that point because it's one of those they they could be really good and you put out the fire no problem, or you can be severely burnt and have an even worse year than you did the year prior, which is going to be very difficult to do. I'm not saying, it, but I'm just saying that's one of those situations where this is why I got to get the guys from baseball a baseball report on here and talk to them because they want to do some kind of like GM style of the RailCats. I got to reach out to them and get them on and have their ideas because I'm just at a loss of what to do at this point, roster wise.
Oh, yeah, starting off with pretty much a blank canvas.
Yeah.
You bring back Howie from last year, which was a late acquisition, and he was hungry. And he did a good job when he had the opportunity. You bring in Andres Diaz, who for the first half of the season was spot on. Um, for a young guy, plenty of upside. So something like that's exciting. But you're not. Uh, you haven't made very many waves compared to last year. Last year, you had what was supposed to be a top-notch team and
Yeah.
didn't play out well. Um, so, make some changes, but right now you've not really got much. Um, I haven't heard from any of the players of, hey, uh, Lamar reached out to me or Lamar, I signed or anything like that. Um, which is what gets me excited towards the second half here.
Yeah.
So, hey, you started it off. We're at the halfway point of the off season. We should celebrate that. Um, and hey, here's to let's have good signings. Let's get some good signings. Let's have a good year.
Yeah, I agree. Um, uh, Other than the only other big news of the week was the baseball's champion league. King County's going down to Mexico because I think they're the ones that host it um this year, and they have their settings. They're playing teams that I can't pronounce their name, so you got that going for us. You got, I think they're playing uh the Pirates of Santa Maria.
Don't even
Uh,
try it.
I'm
Don't
not even
even
gonna try it. I'm not even gonna try it.
don't
And
even try it.
then you got Cuba. I know they're playing Cuba, but the
Yeah,
other,
Cuba, Nicaragua, Krakow,
yeah,
Mexico. Uh, you know,
all,
so So last time we did this, it looks like this is going to be an every other year thing. Last time they did it was the Red Hawks, right?
yes.
And the Red Hawks went there. It was shortly after the end of the season.
Hmm.
They didn't wait till April to do it, which is weird that the scheduling is kind of weird here. But they went there with a handful of their players
Hmm.
and then all stars from the other teams that they filled in with. And so it's going to be very interesting to see uh, who George takes with them down there because you've got a lot of players that are retired or there hasn't been any, talk of them playing right now or they just disappeared, right?
Hmm.
So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of pool he has to players to pull from.
Yeah, I'm curious if this is a move on the baseball Champions League style here because I don't think when Fargo went down that they were expecting the American team to go down there and dominate like they did.
Right.
Like what people gotta understand is these players that are playing in these countries are like if they're not in the MLB or in affiliate ranks, like they're the best of the best.
Right.
in those countries. And in the United States, you're split amongst at least 4 or 5 different independent baseball teams. So like I think maybe it was the little bit of embarrassment for Fargo to go on there, and they were able to pick a handful of all-star players,
Right.
just because so I don't know if this was like a flip to, okay, this is what they're not gonna be weathered and play ready quite yet. So they're going to be fresh and maybe not all there yet. So they're going to get a couple games. But I wonder if this is going to help King County at the beginning of the year
I was
for the
thinking.
American Association. And it could be American Association like, hey, well, you won the championship, so now you get an extra preseason or 2 games and or a handful of
Oh,
games and
I think it gets crazier than that because here's what I see happening. I could see Kane County grabbing their handful of their players that they want to keep from last year, getting them signed, right? And then going to the studs of the league and saying, hey, we'll take you with us if you come in and play for us at a discount. Something to that effect. Come play with Kane County, and we'll take you down to Mexico and let you play in this league with us in this tournament. And then all of a sudden, Kane County signs all of these ridiculous players and runs the table.
it
I
could
could see
be.
something
I
like
could I
that.
could see it. I mean, it's a recruiting tool. I get it. I
That's a
mean,
smart play.
but it's a recruiting tool. But did it necessarily work for Fargo? Because or not? Yeah, for Fargo because they would have gone down. Or no, it would have been who? It would have been Kansas City
Well, it was Fargo,
who went down. But I
but
was saying the year.
but it was the year after they won the championship. While then Kansas City won, but they already had Fargo going down there.
Yeah, that's however it played. So Kansas City should have got it at the end of last year, but they
Right.
didn't.
And
So
they skipped a year.
so I guess it necessarily the recruiting tool didn't necessarily work the way you would
I
expect it to.
I
But
think here's the thing. One, you had already signed your players for that year, and that season was over with. So you weren't far enough along in the process to sign people for the next year. So it was like, hey, here's
yeah,
the end of the
I
season. We've already got most of our guys. Let's sprinkle in some all stars. Let's go down there and cap off the season. As opposed to this is, hey, we don't have any of our players. We haven't signed anybody. We can't grab our old players from other teams that they could have signed with. We've got nobody. So let's
yeah
put together something and let's run with it. And hey, we've been together and it's only 3 months till the season starts. So how about you come play for us?
yeah. I think we and you both agreed on this. I would rather it be like the American Association All Stars go down and those would be the ones that are because you're taking the best of the entire league necessarily and throwing them in and that gives them a chance to go play. And I think that just brings a better recruiting tool to the American Association in general versus just a player,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
or just a team itself. But I still think the issue is I was trying to watch some of the press conference. I can't watch the press conference because I don't speak Spanish. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not going to listen to this because I have no idea what they're saying. So I have to read articles or just listen to Joshua Schwab talk about it afterwards. But I don't know. This is just a weird thing that realistically that they should just throw all the independent teams together and
Well,
call it a
and
day.
so you can look at it this way also. Um, some of these leagues that we're facing, they're playing right now.
Yeah,
Or
that
they are, they just finished, or they're just coming into their. I think that they would just be finishing in April. So they're having the advantage that we had last time of
yeah.
use the players, pick out your best ones and run with it. And, we're kind of coming in at a disadvantage of we don't have any players yet. Let's see who we can sign. Um, but hey, it might level the playing field quite a bit. Um, you're let's see what happens. But these
Yeah.
are like you said, for these players that are coming from these other countries. Um, these are either MLB players these are the top in the country. These are guys that aren't recruited from, wherever. These are
Hmm.
guys that are homegrown that live, breathe, eat, sleep baseball. Um, and they are hungry for a championship no matter where they go. And these are people that haven't had their names in the limelight.
Yeah.
So those guys are even more hungry. So it's competition's there.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah.
Going back to other former Railcat news, it looks like Chris Burgess got
Yeah.
signed for as a catcher for the Frontier League in the Trace Angeles, whatever their
The
name
other
is.
Canadian team, I think.
So I'm excited for him. Uh, I go back to here's the interesting thing. When he was a first baseman for us, right? Uh, he left. Nobody looked at him. I don't think he had any opportunities. He plays as a catcher for Taggart, which catcher was his position. I don't know
Hmm.
why they use him as a catcher. Catcher for Taggart, and all of a sudden he's on another team, picked up on another team. They realize the value that he has. So uh, I thought that was interesting. Good job for him getting out there and getting on another team.
Yeah. Well, Chuck, you got any final thoughts for this week?
Oh boy, these weeks need to go by faster. That's my final thought. Oh,
It'll
this
get
is
there.
this is like I mean, come on now. We get together, we talk about some baseball, but much rather be in the sun and and looking at a clean field.
Hmm.
Bad mouthing Noah for not cutting the grass where it needs to be cut and getting rid of that grass. Uh, Spit my seeds out, stuff like that. Much rather be doing that. This
It's
cold weather is nonsense.
Well, it'll warm up a little bit, and then it's gonna get extra cold.
I have stuff I have to do outside and it's too cold. I look out the window and I'm like, nope, back to the couch.
It was funny. The other day after we got the first bit of snow, I thought it was a genius idea to go run a mile and a half in the snow. Um, and let me tell you, running in the snow is nice when it's just thick enough to give you a nice little cushioning, but when it's like an inch and a half of snow, your calves start to really burn once you get about a half mile in. So at that point, you just commit to it. But so today I'm taking out the trash and it's trash day. So it's extra cold out. And right before we hopped on, my wife looked at me and she goes, "Are you really going for a run?" Because I was putting a sweatshirt and sweatpants on. I said, "No, why would I be going for a run? It's 12 degrees outside." No. And maybe in spite of her, after I get off this, maybe I'll just go do it, but that's beside the point. Um,
The bigger question is, why are you got a vehicle? Why are you running? You don't
it's
need to run anywhere.
for
Come
your
on now.
health. It's your health.
It's not for your, that's nonsense.
It's a stress reliever.
You only have so many heartbeats and you're wasting them running. You
Some
need
may
to take,
argue that it might be helping.
no, you only have so many. You don't want to waste them.
Yeah, but I'm prolonging those.
You're not. You're using them up. That
Oh.
run probably took like 4 years off your life.
No, I think that's smoking a cigarette, but
It could be. Were you running and smoking a cigarette at the same time? Because it was pretty hilarious.
no. But when I was in the military, I did do a 2 mile run with a chaw on my lip, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. So, well, good for you and getting out there and
And
running. Um, I didn't. Uh, I don't plan to. Um, I have gotten a lot of exercise. Matter of fact, since you said something about your calf, I did flex my legs a little bit here
oh.
to feel my calf muscles. So that's the exercise for today. Uh, and that's it. So, yeah, that being said, that's my final thought. Guys, it's cold outside. Be safe, be careful. Go for a run. Let us know so that we can laugh at I can laugh at you
Yeah, Chuck,
and say
however it's going to
go
show.
for a run too. And all of that. But hey, you got anything else?
No, other than if you're thinking about a cold, lonely day, just think about the nice summer days at the ballpark, and it brightens your day up a little bit better.
Who could go for
So
a good Polish sausage right now from the
mm,
Steelyard? Come on.
so that will leave it with a nice, crisp, like 75 degrees, the sun shining, going down a little bit, nice Polish sausage, the smell of Gary in the air, and uh watching some RailCats baseball. Just think about the Steelyard and it'll warm you up about 5 times more. So, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for the podcast. He's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this. And
Go
go Cats.
Cats.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.